Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 236. Andrew Eisen here. Okay, I actually have stuff to talk about this week. I usually do, but I feel particularly prepared this week. Hello, Cafe Fox. So, the first thing I would like to talk about is Monster Hunter Rise, and I'll be brief because I've talked about it a fair amount on previous podcasts. But what I would like to bring up are the event quests that Capcom has been doing over the last couple of weeks. Now, in previous games, or at least in Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, uh, what Capcom typically did was they would have a, what did they call it? A festival or something where there would be a bunch of different event quests available for you to play. And once the festival was over, which usually lasts about 2 weeks, the events went with it, and you'd have to wait for a new festival or wait for a certain crop of events to. They had a big pool of events, and every 2 weeks or so they would cycle some in and out. With Monster Hunter Rise, the way they seem to be doing it is once an event is published, you download it, and it's yours forever. Okay. So in the last 3 weeks, Capcom has released one event quest each week. So we have three in total now. I talked about the first event quest, which I think I got the reward for the event wrong, but the quest correct. So the quest, if you complete it, the first event quest, it rewards you with a ninja gesture. So you can make little finger movements and squat and be like, I'm doing a ninja thing. Cool. What's the event quest that you have to beat to get the new little ninja gesture? Fight and hunt a Tetranodon, which is one of the first monsters you fight in the game. You'd, you'd be thinking not like Nargacuga, who's kind of the more ninja-y monster? No, Tetranodon. But we're getting a ninja gesture and not like a sumo wrestler foot slam kind of gesture that would seem to relate more to the Tetranodon. Nope. Okay. Is it a particularly big Tetranodon? A particularly small Tetranodon? Is it a colorful Tetranodon? No, it's just a regular ass Tetranodon. Alright. So, week 2 rolls around, new event quest. And I forget what the quest is, but it just, the reward was stickers. You get some new stickers to use. And they're cute. I can't remember what the quest was, though. So, moving on to event quest number 3. That was this week. And it's fight a Gosharag and Magnamalo in the arena. Ooh. That's an interesting matchup. Those are two tough, aggressive monsters in an relatively enclosed space. There's nowhere to run. Okay. Cool. It's low rank. I mean, if that bothers you, you could just go put on low rank gear or strip naked and try it that way if you don't think it's challenging enough. And, I mean, not everyone bought the game the day it came out. Some people just got it and, they want to play with the event quests too. So let our new Rise players have some fun. So, what's the reward for beating Gosharag and Magnamalo in the arena? You get a bunch of new titles that you can attach to your guild card. What we players are kind of waiting for is a quest that is fun and different, not just hunt random monster. You know, uh, there was a quest in World that was called the Greatest Jagras. Jagras is the Great Jagras is the first monster you fight. So doesn't have a subspecies. There are no variants of it. It's just the Great Jagras. It's the tutorial monster. It is a punching bag. So they had the event quest called the Greatest Jagras, which is a giant Jagras that will paste you across the floor. It will kill you. It will nigh one-shot you unless you've got some extreme end game gear. It was amazing. Also, it was a good way to get different decorations, because that thing, every time you smacked it, it would like drop shinies, and the shinies were the different jewels that you appraise at the end of the quest to get decorations. There was another one where you're thrown in the arena with about 8 different moss swines, which are boars or pigs, little docile animals that wander around the. They're like the bullfango, except not mean. And so you end up in a quest, 8 of them in the arena, but they all one-shot you. So you're wandering around trying to kill these moss swines and don't let them touch you because they will cart you instantly. Fun stuff like that. Sometimes you get a monster that's particularly big. Sometimes you get a monster that's particularly small. Sometimes you just get really good matchups that you hadn't seen before. It was fun. And oftentimes you would get special armor or special weapon, or the materials to craft special armor or special weapons. Or there would be an event quest that was particularly good at dishing out particular rewards, like lazurite jewels, which we all need right now for our endgame decorations and such. So, I have to say the first event quests have been really disappointing because the rewards are fine, but the quests are just really unimaginative so far. It's like hunt a Tetranodon. I mean, even if they just went so far as to make it thematically somehow hook up with the reward, like, we'll give you a ninja move if you can fight a Nargacuga. Well, okay, that makes some semblance of sense. But no, it's like they're just drawing monsters out of a hat. So I hope the event quests get better, because they're a little bland right now. I imagine part of the issue is Capcom doesn't want to throw out a lazurite jewel farming event quest because they can't take it away from you after 2 weeks. Because once you have the quest, you've got it forever. So Capcom might be worried about balance issues. Like, if you can just farm lazurite jewels, then you're easily going to be able to get every decoration you ever wanted a lot more quickly than you would otherwise. So maybe they just want to wait on that one for a little while. Sure, okay, I can see that perspective. But in the meantime, I think you can do better, Capcom. I have faith. So that's really all I wanted to say about that. So moving on to a topic number 2. Ending explained videos. I've been seeing a lot of these on YouTube. Not just these past couple days, but I see these frequently pop up in my recommends. Anytime there's a new video game or a new show on TV, it's, Resident Evil Village ending explained. Don't toy with me, Miss Nagatoro, ending explained. Castlevania Season 4, ending explained. Everything I say from here on out may be unfair because I've watched literally 0 of these ending explained videos. And they're not all from the same channel. They're from different channels. I'm curious as to what the hell the point of these are. Not curious enough to actually watch them, but mildly curious. Because I see all these things and I'm like, Does Resident Evil really need an explainer for its ending? Does does Castlevania really need an explainer for its ending? I mean, Tenet, sure. Um, any movie or something that's particularly convoluted, like the Christopher Nolan movie from last summer, that makes sense that that might have an ending explainer, or anything that's very allegorical or metaphorical, like I can't think of the name of the damn movie. A team of scientists go into a through a wobbly force field into an area that has a bunch of plant monsters, and there's a bear monster, and they all die. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Um, but something like that, where a lot of people walk out of the theater going, "I just, huh? What happened?" You know, Stuff like that. I can imagine needing an explainer for the ending, or anything that has an ending that is abstract or left to the audience's interpretation. Could assimilation really is that? Boy, that title is not ringing a bell. Bum dibbly boo. I can't even remember who's in it. Um, do 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 do. Well, let me go IMDb first. Da 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 da. No, I don't think so. Um. Alright, I'm just gonna have to start browsing MDB. You guys all talk amongst yourselves while I figure out what the hell movie I'm trying to think of. Uh, no, I don't know. I can't remember the name of the movie. Lindy says clickbait, but Castlevania was amazing. Good, because I quite enjoyed the first three seasons of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing, I believe this is the last one. So I'm interested to see how it concludes. Do Resident Evil shotgun shells exist? Um, so, considering that I see a lot of videos explaining the endings of shows and video games that I don't feel most really need an explanation for the ending, I have a feeling that these aren't really ending explained. I think it's more ending revealed. Here's what the ending is, so for people who, and there's nothing wrong with this, but for those of us who read the last page of a book first before we start at the beginning, I genuinely don't understand why anyone would ever do that, but I do know there are people who that's how they enjoy their books. They read the last bit of the book first, and then they start from the beginning. That's weird to me. But hey, however you enjoy your books. And I don't begrudge the existence of ending explained. All I ask is please keep spoilers out of the video title and thumbnail. That's all I ask. Just keep spoilers out of the title and thumbnail. Clearly the video itself is going to be a spoiler, so don't click on it if you don't want to know the ending of something, but I don't really have a point here other than I find it weird that there's ending explains. I think they honestly just cater to people who want to know what the ending is. I'm never going to play Resident Evil Village. I definitely am, but I'm never going to play it, but I'm curious to see what the plot is, because Resident Evil is pretty wacky, so yeah, ending explained. Let's see what happens at the end. Oh gosh, that's neat. I guess. IGL is... Oh, IGN is ridiculous with articles like that. I mean, if people click on them, you know, That's why I'm not very popular, because I don't make stuff that people are interested in. Look at my Leslie and Bob videos that average less than 20 views a piece. And I spent like 5 hours today editing Leslie and Bob videos. But I'm glad the dozen of you that watch them enjoy them. So, speaking of videos, I mentioned that, the odd one out of my examples was ending explained for "Don't Toy with Me, Miss Nagatoro." The reason that's on my head is I have a debut review for that coming out on Tuesday, and the funniest thing is the episode itself is like 23 minutes long. My review of the episode is like 28 minutes long, so I have a lot to say about "Don't Toy with Me, Miss Nagatoro." So hope you're looking forward to that. Uh, and anyway, so I finally got a bunch of Leslie and Bob videos edited and out of the way, which gives me time to work on my video game fashion police for the Gem, which is a series of videos I'm working on right now. Even though Gem is not a video game, it should be. So look forward to my sister and I critiquing the fashion of Gem and pizzazz in some upcoming videos. That's several weeks down the road, though, because those are the complicated projects that require a lot of editing. So, but I think they're going to be fun. What's next on my list? Oh gosh, yeah. Let's talk about Snow White. Several weeks ago, Lindy says, "Woohoo, more Gem." Yeah, I had a subscriber to my Patreon who bowed out of support a while ago. And when you cancel your Patreon subscription, you have the option of filling out a little survey or what motivated you to move on. And this person said, I just joined for the Gem content. And my Gem content is, oh, I finished the show, so it's over. And I wanted to, and I contacted this person to thank them for their support and let them know that while the Middle-Aged Man Watches Gem and the Holograms is indeed over, I will occasionally have more to say about Gem in the future. I'll have, like I'm working on the video game fashion police for Gem right now. So thank you for your support. Keep your eye on my channel, because I think I'll have some other stuff that interests you eventually. And I was really wary about doing that because it kind of feels like no, don't leave me. I'm pressuring you into continuing to support me. And hopefully I was able to come across as, no, just genuinely thanks for your support. But I hope you keep an eye on the channel, because I'll have some more Gem videos occasionally, and I think you'll enjoy them. I hope that's how it came off and not me begging for Patreon monies. I hope. What was I talking about? Snow White. So, several weeks ago, Hasbro, well, this is actually a couple months ago, I think, Hasbro changed the brand of Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head, because that line of toys encompasses more than just Mr. Potato Head. It also includes Mrs. Potato Head and Baby Potato Head, and I hope its name is Spud. So they changed the brand to Potato Head to more accurately encompass the entire line of toys. The news media, mainstream news media, broadly misreported that as Mr. Potato Head goes gender neutral. No, that's not what happened. That would be fine if it did, and I'm sure there would be stupid outrage over disingenuous bad faith actors if it did happen, but that's not what happened. Maybe try reporting what did happen. So I talked about that in a podcast a while ago. I had similar complaints about the Dr. Seuss thing from a couple months back, where the Dr. Seuss organization, estate, whoever the hell owns Dr. Seuss, said, "Hey, these 6 works out of the dozens or so that we own, a little racist, so we're not going to publish them anymore." That's all that happened. But of course, disingenuous, bad faith, willfully lying dipshits decided to, they're taking away our green eggs and ham. No, they're not. That wasn't even on the list. Now, to be fair on that one, it was just the typical bad faith actors. It wasn't broadly the news media misreporting that one. Mr. Potato Head, that one was broadly misreported, even by mainstream news media. So, Snow White, the Disney film from the 30s, inspired a dark ride at Disneyland, a land owned by Disney that features a dark ride based on Snow White by Disney from 1930 something. 7. We'll go with 7. Because I think there was like a Betty Boop Snow White, and I think that was early 30s, so I think Snow White Disney was later 30s, so someone wiki it, I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's unimportant. So that ride's been at Disneyland for a while, and it was closed for several months at least to update it with new lights and changing some of the show scenes and rebranding the ride. They changed it from Snow White's Scary Adventures to Snow White's Enchanted Adventure or something like that. So they changed some of the scenes around. They added some new scenes. They took some out. They updated some of the effects and the animatronics. They plussed the ride. Earlier this month, some reporters for the San Francisco Gate, a newspaper for, can you guess which city? San Francisco. Burbank! They went to Disneyland and they rode the new Snow White ride. And that's the wrong browser tab. And their review starts out, let's get this out of the way first. Snow White's Enchanted Wish, that's the new name of the ride. It changed from Scary Adventures to Snow White's Enchanted Wish. The revamped ride replaced Snow White's Scary Adventures in Disneyland, is really good. Then they spend a bunch of paragraphs. So they say it preserves the charm of the original, which opened back in '55 when the park debuted, and gives it a more cohesive storyline that's true to the 1938 movie. Oh, I was so close. Unless they're wrong and I'm right, who knows. It adds in the movie's biggest problem, but we'll get to that in a minute. So here's a paragraph about, they're talking about the ride, upgrades in the ride. Another paragraphs, it's still cool. The terrifying witch thing where she turns around in the magic mirror, that's still there. She got a quote from the Imagineering manager of creative, talking about the comparing the old ride to the new one. Still a charming ride. Still going. Still really positive description of the ride. Here we go. Towards the end of the article, Lindy says they're wrong. It was 1937. Wow. So I guessed correctly, but the authors of the San Francisco Gate got it wrong. So the authors say the new ride, after praising the ride for being an improvement over the original, say the new ride includes a more comprehensive storyline, but that's also the problem. The new grand finale of Snow White's Enchanted Wish is the moment when the prince finds Snow White asleep under the evil queen's spell and gives her true love's kiss to release her from the enchantment. A kiss he gives to her without her consent while she's asleep, which cannot possibly be true love if only one person knows it's happening. Haven't we already agreed that consent in early Disney movies is a major issue, that teaching kids at kissing when it hasn't been established if both parties are willing to engage is not okay? It's hard to understand why the Disneyland of 2021 would choose to add a scene with such old-fashioned ideas of what a man is allowed to do with a woman, especially given the company's current emphasis on removing problematic scenes from rides like the Jungle Cruise and Splash Mountain. Why not reimagine an ending in keeping with the spirit of the movie and Snow White's place in the Disney canon, but that avoids this problem? Still, with the twinkling lights all around and the gorgeous special effects, that final scene is beautifully executed. Let me read that again. That final scene is beautifully executed, as long as you're watching it as a fairy tale, not a life lesson. So that's what this one article in the San Francisco Gate says. They reviewed the ride. It was a mostly positive review. They were mildly critical of one element of the ride that was added. The original ride did not include this scene. The original ride, basically, the evil queen falls off a cliff and then you're shoved out the door. That's the end of the ride, which has always been a really weird ending for that ride. So this one, the ending show scene is the above ground glass coffin, and the prince shows up and smooches the corpse, and she sits up, and everyone lives happily ever after. So that's how the new one ends. Cloaker says, who the hell cares about consent in a Disney film? Everyone, I would hope. So anyway, so we have this one article, in which reviewers, this is authored by two reviewers, were reviewing a updated ride at Disneyland, and were mostly positive, but had a mild criticism for one element of the ride. You can imagine that there are some people on this planet, some disingenuous shitheads, who decided to take this one article and say, oh, the woke, liberal, left, whatever, all the scary buzzwords that they keep using are trying to cancel Snow White. Why can't they just leave our childhoods alone? Because of course they are. Of course they are. So, if you, and you will of course see the same bad actors, bad faith, disingenuous shitheads who write for Fox News, the New York Post, Daily Mail, the Federalist, Breitbart, all those dipshits who shouldn't be platformed anywhere, are railing on and on and on and on, and I kid you not, I think it was Piers Morgan who wrote the Daily Mail article. It is literally 3 times longer than the San Francisco Gate article, in which he bitches about this for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Bitching about, again, one review that was mostly positive, but mildly critical about one element of a children's ride at a Disney theme park. Now, of course, we expect this from Fox News and Daily Mail and New York Post and all those disingenuous shitheads. But allow me, and you really have no choice, allow me to read you a small handful of headlines from mainstream news outlets that should fucking know better. From Deadline. Imagineer Jim Shull responds to controversy over update to Disneyland Snow White ride. There's no controversy. It's one review. There's no controversy. NBC. Snow White's kiss is inappropriate. Nix it from Disneyland show, newspaper editorial argues. No, it doesn't, NBC. You're either deliberately lying or embarrassingly incompetent. because that's not what the article says. Nowhere in the article does it say or even remotely imply that that show scene should be removed from the ride. Shame on you, NBC. Shame on you. USA Today. Disneyland's Snow White ride faces backlash over Prince Charming's kiss. No, it isn't. One review that's mildly critical of one element of the ride is not a fucking backlash, USA Today. CBS. Disneyland's Snow White ride under fire for non-consensual kiss with Prince Charming. No, it's not, CBS. It's one fucking review. One review in which the authors were mildly critical of one element of a ride for children in a Disney theme park. I expect this bullshit from Fox News, Daily Mail, New York Post, Breitbart, all those publications that should not be platformed. But I do expect better from places like USA Today, CBS, NBC, Deadline. Do better. Do better. Cloaker says I should rephrase that, maybe teach the kids itself that you need consent and should not be relying on a Disney ride. That maybe teach the kids itself that you need consent. Oh, I think what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that as parents you should teach your kids about consent, not rely on a Disney ride. Oh, yes, absolutely. But literally no one is suggesting that it's Disney's job to teach consent. I mean, the article itself says, its last line is, the final scene is beautifully executed as long as you're watching it as a fairy tale, not a life lesson. And yeah, you should not allow media to raise your kids. But, pardon me, Snow White and other older fairy, this is not a Disney thing specifically, but there are many stories that can, and should be jumping off points for discussions with your kids about various life topics, consent being one of them. But I do agree with the idea that it is kind of weird that this scene did not exist in the original version of the ride. This scene was added to the ride in 2021. And I haven't ridden the ride, but I watched a filmed ride-through of the new ride, and unless the camera is pointed in the wrong place, unlike the movie. Prince Charming, I think, is the prince in this one. He doesn't exist in the ride except at the very end, so it's just some dude strolling up on a corpse and planting a smooch on her face. I mean, even the original film, which I've not seen in decades, so definitely correct me in the chat if I'm getting it wrong. But I think Snow White and Prince Charming have like one meet cute, and that's it. She's like pumping well water or some shit. Someday my prince will come. Wait, is that Sleeping Beauty or is that no, Snow White? Someday my prince will come. The I could have danced all night. No shit. That's oh god. Doesn't help that Snow White and Sleeping Beauty have the same damn plot. The evil queen puts the princess to sleep and the prince has to smooch her awake. How original. Anyway, so she's sitting at the well. She says, someday my prince will come. And the prince is like, I'm here. And it's like, oh, we love each other now. And that's like it. And then he just rolls up on her corpse later and smooches her. Now, again, the reason I think most of us aren't really... very few people are genuinely outraged over the kiss in Snow White. It's just a little weird because it doesn't have the right context. It's presented weird. But it is a fairy tale, so you do have to kind of buy into the whole love at first sight kind of thing. These two are lovers now, so, smooching a corpse wouldn't be that awkward. Um, but that's the point, is this was a story that was specifically written in this way. This is you can't smooch dead people awake. I don't care how much you guys were in love in the first place. That's not how that worked. This was an element of a story that was designed specifically by an author. An author said, a dude smooching a dead girl is going to wake her up. That's those are the rules I have made up for my story." So, appealing to it was a poisoned apple, and it's a fictional story. That's how it works. But that's why no one generally is actually outraged about this. But it is a useful part of our media history as a jumping off point to talk about consent, because it's a movie that's popular with small children, because it's a movie for small children that adults can enjoy too. So I think it works great in that sense, because boy, it's you're gonna have some fun conversations with your kids. So, Timmy and Julie, did you enjoy Snow White? Yeah. What'd you think about the prince rolling up on a dead girl and kissing her? What? you know. Now, Timmy, if you're walking around in the forest and you see a dead girl, are you gonna kiss her? No. That's right, Timmy. But what if she's really pretty? No, that's right. But what if she was a really pretty corpse that you knew before she was dead, and you're pretty sure she loved you too? You gonna smooch her then, Timmy? No? Yeah, that's right, Timmy. Good job. My work here as a parent is done. Really, my point with this entire segment of the podcast is I just wish the news media would stop legitimizing bad faith actors who write for shit publications like Fox News, New York Post, Daily Mail, The Federalist, Breitbart, and all those. Because when you write headlines and articles acknowledging that there is a backlash, that there is a controversy, that this right is being attacked, which it's not, what you're doing, intentionally or otherwise, is legitimizing the manufactured outrage of bad faith actors who write for these shit publications that should not be platformed in the first place. So stop it. That's all I'm saying. Oops. Cloaker got moderated here. Let me. Yeah, you meant parents. I think I got that. So, do I consider Speed Racer an anime? Yeah. So, oh no! I'm wishing, Echo from the for the one I love to find me, Echo to find me today. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm getting my Disney. I haven't seen any of these movies for Sleeping Beauty's better. Why is Sleeping Beauty better? 'Cause you have the relationships have a lot more context. You actually believe the Prince Philip. I think Prince Philip, and Aurora Rose. Oh my God, how do I remember this crap? I think they have like one scene together. They meet in the woods, but they dance and it's cute. And there's an owl. um, so that I think that actually works better. I would imagine most people on this planet genuinely don't have a problem with the basic conceit of the Snow White or Sleeping Beauty stories. It's kind of an odd narrative device. Probably sexist, but for a fairy tale, simple enough to work, and if you're a hopeless romantic, that is that is a powerful idea that true love can transcend the mortal coil. You know that ha ha ha. You know, it really all comes down to the context and the execution. Snow White tends to be just way too simple to where it comes off as just a little weird. I mean, first of all, the whole idea that the seven dwarfs don't bury Snow White's ass in the ground is weird to begin with. This whole conceit about the true love's first kiss wakes her up. The author's like, oh shit, but they'd either, well, okay, so they can't cremate her because what's he gonna do? Just scoop up her ashes and motorboat her ashes, just smear it all over his face. That'd be great. It's like, okay, so she gets bit. Well, what's he gonna do? Dig her up to kiss her? That's even worse. Okay, so all right, here's what we're gonna do. So the dwarves are so sad that they're like, everyone, and she's so damn pretty that they just have to put her corpse in a display case in the middle of the forest. Then the prince happens along. He's like, what's this? Smooches. It's fucking weird. It's always been really weird. Offensive? I think it's certainly conversation starting. I wouldn't go so far, me personally, would not say offensive. And I've literally never met anyone outraged by Snow White. I do think it is a wonderful jumping off point for discussions on important topics like consent, though. And it's also fun to make fun of because it's really damn weird. Oh, this corpse too pretty. We gotta put her in a. We gotta bury her above ground. But no one's gonna be able to see her gorgeous corpse. Glass coffin. Yeah, all right. Riding through the forest, I'm a prince. Oh, holy shit, that's the most attractive corpse I ever did see. Smooch, smooch, smooch. Can you imagine being Prince Charming, macking on a corpse, and suddenly she sits up and it's like, oh god, I thought you were dead. You're welcome. Because I totally knew that. That's another thing. I don't remember, correct me, but I do not recall Prince Charming knowing that Snow White would wake up to Love's first kiss. Or Love's true Love's kiss or anything like that. Also in another one, I think it's like his smooch like dislodges a piece of the poison apple. And it really, I mean, I guess it's not as sexy if he's like, what's that? Just sticks his finger in her mouth, starts digging around this corpse's face. Oh, what's that in her mouth? I'm going to forensic school. I'm just, it's just a weird scene, is what I'm saying. At least, as far as Prince Philip goes, the whole idea, the fairies, Merryweather and Susan and Janet, they changed Maleficent's curse, which is, on her 16th birthday, she pricks her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and dies. Because you didn't invite me to a birthday party and you hurt my feelings. So what they do is they alter the curse to, instead of dying, she falls into a death-like slumber, which can be awakened with Love's first kiss. So they actually know the solution. I don't think the solution is like a known thing in Snow White. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the Disney I'm talking about the Disney movie, not any other version of the story. But I don't recall it's like, but if only a person who loves her smooches her, then she'll wake up. It's like, I didn't say on the mouth, you gross asshole. What are you doing? The hand, man. The hand is fine. The forehead. You guys met once at a wishing well. A little presumptuous of you, Prince Charming. Not even that charming. Like, I don't recall Prince Charming having any idea that smooching a corpse was going to do anything interesting. I don't think he smooched the corpse because he knew that would wake her up. I think it's just like, oh shit. It's a shame when the pretty die young. Well, waste not, want not. So, let's see. Colin says, when I was young after watching the 2008 movie, 2008 movie. I thought the anime was a cartoon. Oh, the Speed Racer. Yeah, anime was a cartoon, but many years later, I finally found out. Yeah. Lindy says the Disney child within you is trying to come out. Oh, I've always been. I love Disney movies and stuff. Used to go see the. I've kind of fallen off of the Disney the Disney animated features in years like because most everything I see, maybe it's just the advertising, because like I remember, I saw a trailer for Moana, and I went, I mean, it looks pretty, but I've seen that movie. Like I feel like I could write down the basic plot of the entire movie. I finally watched Moana like several within the last couple of months, and it's good. But other than the sparkly crab, which is amazing, the best scene in the movie, yeah, I knew the entire. I was not surprised by anything. The trailer gave the entire movie away. I knew exactly what would happen because it's the same damn movie. It's pretty. It's fun. I liked it. But yeah, it's like every time I see a trailer for a new Disney movie, I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty, but and I'm sure it'll be good. But it's just nothing really calling to me. Let's see. Matthew says anime at this point is an aesthetic, to be honest. In the West, it's used as a substitute for non-comedy adult animation. I would say in America, anime is an aesthetic. I would say in Japan, it's just cartoons. And I would say that because I think that's literally the definition of the word. In Japan, anime is just short for animation. It's like, it's not a particular look or style or aesthetic. It's just anything that's animated is anime. But for Western audiences, anime is typically referring to a specific style of animation. So it can sometimes get a little difficult to parse out exactly what one might mean by anime. But anyway, Matthew says, to be frank, the original stories were written in the 1800s for like Snow White and the Sleeping Beauty. No, Disney versions are super toned down compared to the Grimm fairy tale. Oh God, yes. Like what's like the fate of the stepmother and stepsisters and Cinderella is like I think they like get put in stocks and the crows peck out their eyes or something like that. Yeah, Disney skipped over that part. Um, and Lindy says, "Well, it sounds weird if you say it out loud like that, Andrew." Yeah. Legendary anime JP fan too. Oh, there's more than one of you, huh? All right, nice to meet you too. Matthew says, just go read the original Grimm fairy tale. I've read some of the original Grimm fairy tales, and they're definitely really interesting to compare to the modern iterations of those stories. They are a tough read though because they're just old. Uh, they're kind of a dry read, but they're generally pretty short, if I'm remembering correctly. So, yeah, I would, if you go to the library, get a book of Grimm's fairy tales and browse through them. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, I've seen the Disney version of this. Let's see if oh my. So, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, Lindy. Thank you. I got Merryweather, I think. So Matthew confirms, yeah, it just means anime just means animation. And speaking of anime, so I have again a new debut review coming on Tuesday for Don't Toy with Me, Miss Nagatoro. Um, yeah, I watched the first episode and I got thoughts on it, lots of thoughts. I got so many thoughts that my debut review episode is longer than the first episode of the show. Show's like 23 minutes. My debut review is like 28 minutes. So I have thoughts. Um, this podcast should be called "Consent or Not to Consent." That is the question. I don't know. I kind of like, what did I called it, something like anime or not to anime or anime not. And I kind of like that. So, uh, I actually thought of that last night and giggled to myself. And anytime I giggle about something, I'm like, oh, I have to do that. So anything that amuses me. I'll be honest, when I'm editing a lot of my own videos, I find myself giggling at my own self. I don't know if that's narcissistic or I just know what I like, but um, so I did actually try a handful of shows this week because I didn't have time to play Yakuza 7. Because if I'm going to play Yakuza 7, I want a few uninterrupted hours. I didn't have a few uninterrupted hours, but I did have enough time to check out a few episodes of different shows here and there. So I watched Way of the House Husband, which is on Netflix. The premise is a former Yakuza has decided to leave his Yakuza life behind and support his wife by being a house husband because she has her own career to uh, take care of. So he's going to stay home and clean and cook and be an awesome house husband. And he throws himself into house husbandry. Actually, it sounds odd. With because if you think of animal husbandry, now house husbandry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a funny show, but it's not animated. It's essentially a motion comic. Although I have seen motion comics with more animation than this show. It doesn't feel like a stylistic choice. It feels lazy. There's a chase sequence. Um, Police are chasing down our house husband. And the characters are essentially here's the character, and they literally do this, move it across the screen. The art is still fine. I mean, I like the way the characters are drawn. It's attractive. But I mean, if you're going to do an animated adaptation of a manga, do an animated adaptation of a manga. You may as well just have someone. Here, hold on. Visual aid, just a moment. Let's say you were doing a animated adaptation of Karakano, right? You could just take a camera and do this. And if you wanted to get fancy, you could do this. But that would be lazy and kind of stupid. But that's, I mean, if that's the only way they could get Way of the House Husband to the small screen, maybe that's just the budget they had to work with, and they could do little more than a motion comic. Interestingly, the animated adaptation of this show I think the English title is His and Her Circumstances. Yeah, thankfully it says so on here. Um, you've seen you've heard if you're a fan of anime, you know of the dreaded recap episode, which usually happens halfway through the season. Normally, they're not done specifically as filler. They're usually done just to catch up new viewers on what's been going on as they head into the back half of the season. So a lot of times they will take an episode around episode 12 or 13 in a 26 episode run, and they will take that entire episode to essentially recap the previous dozen episodes. And a lot of times they will use a framing device where they have the characters sitting around. It's like, boy, we've had some wacky adventures. I remember, doodly doo doodly doo doodly doo, and then they recap it, right? His and Her Circumstances. You watch the first episode of the animated adaptation, and you're like, oh, that's a cute show. Then you watch the second episode, and the second episode starts with a recap of the first episode. Fine, whatever. And you're still enjoying it. Third episode recaps the first and second episode. And on and on and on until you start getting up into episodes 10, 11, 12, and the recaps of the previous episodes are starting to take like 2 or 3 minutes. And then you get to the recap episode of this series. And it lasts for more than one episode. The recap episode for His and Her Circumstances, I think, is like an episode and a half. And then they ran out of manga. And they had no idea what to do with that show. I have never seen a show fall apart the way this one does in its animated adaptation. And I don't like the way this ends. It's actually kind of gross and crap. But it feels like that was the intended ending. Oh, oh god, the back half of the animated show is oh, it's actually kind of painful and embarrassing to watch, honestly. Um so anyway, Way of the House Husband is charming and funny, but it's not animated. And it feels lazy. Again, it could totally just be a budget thing, but it just feels like they didn't really care. They're like, oh, no one cares that much. Just we've got the art from the manga. Just blow it up and move it around the screen a little bit. Whatever. Still, it's pretty short, so it's on Netflix. Give it a try. It's cute. It's like 5 minutes long. It's fine. Or no, actually, I think it's a like each episode is uh like 3 to 5 minute vignettes. So each episode has like 10 episodes in it or something like that. Anyway, it's cute. It's a fun idea. Based on someone's recommendation last week, I checked out Snow White Notes, which is a music anime about a dude who plays the shamisen. Um, cool idea for a show. Certainly different. Don't think I'll be watching it. I watched 2 episodes, and I kind of want to watch like another one or two just to see where it's going. Do we like get into a shamisen band? But I just don't like any of the characters, and some of the storytelling is a little wonky. Like some of the character motivations are like you're wait, where, what, huh? Wait, you're staying in the house of a person you don't know while she goes off huh? With her ex-boyfriend who punched you the last time. Right. I so I'd be interested in a music show about either one shamisen dude or a bunch of shamisen peoples. I mean, because I've not seen that show, but just none of the characters are connecting with me, and the storytelling isn't as cohesive as I would prefer. So yeah, probably not going to follow up with that one. I do appreciate the recommendation though. Would not have watched it otherwise. Jared says, "Is it like stop motion?" If you mean Way of the House Husband, no, it's literally like they're just they're taking panels from the manga and just using those, and then they'll just like shake them a little bit, or they'll like cut out they'll like post the background and then cut out one of the characters and literally move them like this across the screen. It's it's kind of embarrassing. Like you almost want to say, guys. I mean, either do it or don't do it. This is just it feels disrespectful to the original work, you know. Um, so I tried another show called Assassination Classroom. Uh, not a new release. This one's been around for a while. It has a phenomenal premise. The premise is an alien, which is a big yellow octopus, has taken over a classroom in a school somewhere. It is now the teacher of this classroom. And it says, okay, kids, here's the deal. I am going to destroy the Earth at the end of the school year unless one or all of you kills me first. So, I'm going to teach you till the end of the year. You guys try to kill me, and if you fail, I'm going to destroy the Earth. So the show is this alien squid monster teaching homeroom or whatever, and the kids constantly trying to shoot him and stab him and poison him while he's teaching. Because if they don't, he's going to destroy the Earth in a year. Well, there's a hell of a premise. Matthew says, "Of course, it's an octopus. It's an anime." Well, I mean, it's not exactly an octopus. It basically is a the shit happens smiley, the yellow smiley face with a bunch of tentacles. It's super strong. It's super fast. It's pretty much impossible to kill. And these are just high school kids. What could they do? So, great premise. Unfortunately, I've seen about 5 episodes, and I don't know if I'm going to watch anymore. Um, I really want to see if it goes anywhere, but it's also like 48 episodes long, and after 5 episodes, it's not bad. It's just not good because it's not particularly funny. The characters aren't particularly compelling. It's not particularly thoughtful or poignant or dramatically interesting. It's just kind of okay. It's just kind of there. I mean, it has moments. It's got some fun character beats. It's some of the jokes land. Some of the assassination attempts and the aliens' um, ability to escape them are creative and interesting. But overall, it's not really holding my attention. Great premise, but the show is just kind of meh, just kind of blah. It's just kind of there. There's nothing really particularly exciting about it, other than it's kind of like the first Purge movie. You remember the first Purge movie? How it has this great premise of, oh, all crime is legal for 12 hours, for one night out of an entire year. All the emergency services are shut off and everything goes for this 12-hour span of time. But then all the emergency services and stuff are turned back on for the rest of the year. And it's like, huh, that is a super cool premise. But the movie is just a really average and not particularly good home invasion movie that doesn't really have much to do with the Purge itself at all. It's just more window dressing than anything else. I really want to see the other Purge movies. I've only seen the first one. Because the other ones look great because they're actually about the purge. The actual interesting thing. The first Purge is just a below average home invasion movie. It's not terrible. It's just not particularly good. None of the characters are particularly interesting. Some of the aesthetics are neat, but you don't really care about the characters. It's not directed particularly well, especially in the sense of scene geography. Like, you never have a good sense of where anyone is in the house or how the house is laid out. Yeah, so that's kind of how I feel it. So Assassination Classroom, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Assassination Classroom is like the first Purge. Dynamite premise, it just doesn't use it particularly well. um, Matthew says the Purge was also made for only 5 million. They made bank on the first movie. They did, yeah, because it's a great premise. And then we all went to see the movie, and we're like, oh, well, yeah, it's a one location home invasion movie. The rest of them, from what I understand, take place out on the street, so that's cool. Um, I'm not saying that a home invasion movie set with the Purge as a background is a bad idea or unworkable. It's just if it were a really good home invasion movie, you'd still have a really good home invasion movie with this fascinating premise as a backdrop. Instead, you have a mediocre home invasion movie with a much more interesting premise that you're just like, I don't care about these people. Let's go outside. So, there's what, four other Purge movies. The Forever Purge, I think, is the one that was just announced. I think that comes out, I don't know, this year. So that's four, I think. Um, I'd like to see them. Hopefully, they're someday are on a streaming service that I actually um, have access to. Jared says it's like One Punch in my opinion. What, Assassination Classroom? I don't. I only watched the first couple of episodes of One Punch Man, and I guess I got to hand in my anime fan card, but I don't like One Punch Man. It's boring, and I don't like any of the characters. Now, granted, I didn't stick around long enough for any of the much loved secondary characters to show up. I only know, what's his name, Saitama, and he's boring as hell. First of all, it's really difficult to do stories around characters who are invincible and don't have to try because they're invincible and they don't have to try. So they're disconnected and they don't care. And if the main character doesn't care, I don't care. And I imagine it evolves from that in subsequent episodes. But the first two episodes, I don't know how much I watched, but yeah, it just didn't hook me. It's got some nice. I actually don't like the character design at all. Find it off-putting. Not enough to completely turn me off the show, but didn't help. Um, there were individual moments that I thought, like, oh, that's pretty neat. But yeah, overall, One Punch Man didn't do it for me. The other show, the show I watched this week, or a couple episodes of this week, is called High Rise Invasion, which is you remember the movie, a late '90s movie called Cube, where a bunch of people wake up in a cube, and the cube exits into other cubes, and some of the rooms are booby trapped, and they have to work their way through without dying to the booby traps. Imagine if the cube had a bunch of masked slashers in them, like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, you know, just wandering around the cubes. So instead of booby traps, there were just masked killers wandering around. It's kind of like that. Um, Bunch of people are, for whatever reason, trapped in an area with a bunch of masked killers, and they need to survive. It's pretty cool. It's got a nice aesthetic. The designs are the masks that the killers use are essentially comedy tragedy masks. So they're appropriately creepy. Each killer has its own gimmick. So you have a big muscular one in a speedo who's a swimmer. the swimmer mask. You have a stylish fedora wearing sniper mask guy. Um, you've got a butcher mask who has a meat cleaver. That kind of thing. They're all themed. It's cute. Um, Show's paced pretty well. Every episode adds a new wrinkle, where it's like, ooh, this is what's really happening. That's an interesting turn of events. I will tune into the next episode. I have a fear that it's going to add so many wrinkles that it's just going to get absurd, kind of like Attack on Titan. Um, but this one, as far as I know, is only 12 episodes, so maybe it can get away with it, where Attack on Titan is like, I don't know, 60 episodes or something like that. Um, I can't say the characters are compelling, but the circumstances they find themselves in is compelling enough to keep me watching. They're not bad. They're not like off-putting or annoying. They're just fine. You know, like I can't even remember any of the characters' names or really describe their personalities. The lead is the optimistic, energetic one. The co-lead is the pessimistic one who has decided to trust the lead. Of course, it starts right in the middle. They wake up in the cube, so to speak, so you don't really get a chance to know these characters before they end up in the situation they're in. And the show is much more interested in reminding you that our lead is wearing underwear than I think most people really care about. At least me. Like, I assumed the character was wearing underwear. I'm, you confirmed that for me. She is indeed wearing underwear. I will assume, unless told otherwise, that from here on out that she's wearing underwear. I don't need you to look up her skirt every 5 minutes to reconfirm that she's wearing underwear. I believe you. But if you watch the show and you are ever concerned, is the lead character, she's still wearing underwear? There, yep. Low angle, right up the skirt. She's still wearing underwear. Okay, all right. But is she still wearing underwear now? Yep. Okay, good. Still wearing underwear. Okay, proceed. Her underwear didn't disintegrate in the last 5 minutes, right? She's still wearing. Oh, okay. Underwear's still there. All right, we're good. We are good. We have underwear. All right. Are you sure she's wearing under? Yeah, okay. God, I'm glad the show is on the ball with alleviating my stress over her undergarments. It's appreciated. In seriousness, though, the show is overly occupied with undergarments. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it is. It's leering and creepy, and it's a little off-putting. I don't care for it. Not enough to completely put me off the show, but it does come off as a little gross. And this coming from a guy who genuinely enjoys Agent Ica. I think that show's hilarious. And that's like upskirts the movie. So it's really all in how it's done, I feel. So Jared says, if you're into rom-coms, Hori Mia is a good watch. Okay. Generally, not my genre. There are rom-coms that I like. I mean, it's off frame, but I mean, I have Ah My Goddess over there somewhere. Um, that's a romantic comedy with Belle Dandy and Erd and Scold, I think is the other one. Um, so yeah, I'll see what it is. So it kind of depends on the rom-com. Matthew says, yeah, forgetting the name, but it's a cult classic. Jared says, could be the way the manga is drawn, with copious upskirts. I, I would imagine that high-rise invasion is based on a manga. Most are. And I would imagine that the constant, upskirts and down blouses and excuses to make the characters take showers and stuff like that, I would imagine that is probably in the manga, yeah. And on the one hand, it's nice to be faithful to the source material. On the other hand, if what the source material does is not really working, then it's an adaptation. Feel free to do it different. But, I mean, if you as the viewer enjoy the every 5 minutes reminded that she is indeed wearing underwear, then cool, you know? But it's one of those shows where, I mean, one of the first things that happens to our lead is she is sexually assaulted. And one of the killers slashes at her, and her skirt is slit up to the hip. So pretty much if you can see her right side, you can always see if she's wearing underwear, because, her skirt is slit up to her hip. Of course, there's plenty of... they're stuck on the roofs of a bunch of buildings that are connected with rope bridges, and the camera is constantly looking up at them, or they're climbing ladders to get the stuff, and the camera's following along behind them, or they're constantly falling on their butts, going like, oh no, no, don't get me, and the camera's looking this way, It's that kind of a thing. Oh, and the other character's like, oh no, you're slashing at me with a sword, I'll jump back, and the sword goes, saflurp, and her blouse opens up, and so her blouse is open for at least the first 5 episodes. I don't know if she gets another shirt at some point. I would guess no. Probably just going to be hanging out for the entire show. And it's the typical anime skirt that, the Sailor Moon length skirt that barely covers your butt cheeks. There's sexy, and there's cheesecake, and then there's just leering and creepy, to the point where it's like, oh, that's making me a little uncomfortable. I definitely don't mind cheesecake. I don't mind sexy characters. I like that stuff. Again, Agent Ika is hilarious. I love that show. I own it. It's over there somewhere. The Agent Ika R16... hell's it called? Hang on a second. Show and tell! Alright. So here we go with the Agent Ika. See, this is the entire show right here. Look at the length of this skirt. Look at the length of this skirt. That's the entire show. Everyone wears a skirt of that length. And they always... Is there a picture of someone who does that? No. Every single person who gets knocked out in this show falls down on the ground with their ass in the air, like they're almost doing a downward-facing dog yoga pose. It is so damn funny. And this is called, Agent Ika, The Naked Missions. I mean, this show knows exactly what it is. That's what this show is. It's doing it on purpose, and it is hilarious. It is so inventive with the number of ways it manages to do upskirt shots. It's genuinely impressive. And here's the other one. But then they made Ika R16. This one's just gross. These are hilarious. Again, to me, my opinion. This one is really uncomfortably gross. So, these are hilarious. I like these. This one, no. And I bought this on name alone. I'm like, oh, I remember Agent Ika. I love that. I watched it and went, oh, God, no, oh, no, no. Oh. I must scrub. I must exfoliate my eyeballs. Lindy says, "What skirt?" Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's I mean that's less a skirt and more like a belt. It's like a pleated belt. So anyway, what was I talking about? So end of the so yeah, I have nothing against sexy. I have nothing against cheesecake or beefcake. I like cake. But as much as I like cake, sometimes cake is gross if you do it wrong. This analogy's working pretty well. I'm liking this. Okay. So, all right, that is the podcast for tonight. We will end there. I hope you'll join me tomorrow because I think we are going to finally beat Trails in the Sky tomorrow, the first chapter. We are in, I believe, the last dungeon and probably heading towards the last boss fight. So, unless the game has like a super lengthy epilogue or something, um, we're probably going to finish it up tomorrow. So, join me tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, for what may very well be the final entry in Trails in the Sky first chapter. So, I am excited. I hope you are too. So, until then, have a good night. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.